I learned early that love in our house had a hierarchy. My brother stood at the top of it like something inherited. I orbited. When we were children, it looked harmless. His trophies lined the living room. My certificates stayed in a drawer. If he failed an exam, the teachers were blamed. If I passed one, it was expected. The inheritance was spoken about the way some families talk about weather, inevitable, already decided. It will all be his one day. My father would say, not cruelly, just factually. I adjusted. That became my skill. I learned to need less, speak less, expect less. When I got married and moved out, the distance felt like oxygen. My parents visited rarely. My brother visited only when he needed something, contacts, money, introductions. I gave what I could. Saying no had never been part of my vocabulary. Then I became pregnant. My mother's first response wasn't joy, it was calculation. She asked about my husband's job stability, about property, about long-term planning. My brother began dropping by more often, bringing expensive fruit, talking about how lonely his house felt. The suggestion came wrapped in concern. You know, my mother said once, stirring tea she didn't drink, "Your brother has always wanted a son." I laughed because it felt absurd she didn't. "It would still be your child," she continued, "just raised with the family name properly secured." The word properly lingered in the air like smoke. I thought it would fade. Instead, it solidified. Drafts were prepared. Conversations shifted from hypothetical to practical. My father spoke about inheritance, restructuring. If the child carries his name, it simplifies everything. I listened. I kept waiting for someone to say they were joking. No one did. The first time I said no, it came out softly, almost apologetic. "I'm keeping my baby." My brother didn't argue. He just looked at my father, and that was when the temperature changed. "You're being emotional," my father said. "This is about legacy. It's about my child," I replied. He began reminding me of everything they had paid for, my education, my wedding contribution, the apartment deposit they had helped secure. Every act of support reclassified as an advance payment. "The inheritance is his," he said one evening when I was 7 months pregnant. "You know that." "I know," I answered. "I don't want it." I thought that would end it. It didn't. The final confrontation happened at their house. They had asked me to come to discuss paperwork. I should have known. A document lay on the dining table, temporary guardianship language disguised as contingency planning. My brother stood by the window. My mother avoided my eyes. My father pushed the paper toward me. "Sign it. It protects everyone." I didn't sit down. "I'm not signing anything." His voice hardened. "Don't be selfish." I felt something unfamiliar then. Not fear, not even anger. Just a steadiness I had never allowed myself before. "No." He followed me into the hallway as I turned toward the stairs. His words grew sharper, louder. "You think you can walk away from this family," he shouted. "Everything we built is his." I placed a hand on my stomach, more instinct than gesture. "Get rid of that child," he snapped. "Or give him to your brother." "Don't ruin this." I said nothing. That silence enraged him more than any argument could have. His hand shoved my shoulder. It wasn't theatrical. It wasn't a wild swing. It was a desperate push meant to stop me from leaving. But I was already near the stairs. My foot missed the edge. The fall was brief and disorienting, wood against bone, the sickening weightlessness, the sound of my own breath breaking on impact. I remember clutching my stomach before I even registered pain. Then another sound, footsteps at the front door. The shouting had left it open. Someone entered. At first I couldn't see clearly from the bottom of the staircase. I only heard a voice, controlled, startled. "Mr. Khan." It was my brother's lawyer. He had come early to finalize the inheritance transfer documents. He saw me on the floor. He saw my father halfway down the stairs, face flushed. He heard my mother say, too quickly, "It was an accident." Silence followed, heavy, evaluating. The lawyer didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He simply took out his phone and said, in a tone I would later replay in my mind countless times, "I cannot proceed under these circumstances. This may require formal reporting." My father's face drained of color. He tried to laugh it off. "Family misunderstanding." but the lawyer had already stepped aside, dialing. In that moment, power shifted not through revenge, not through screaming, but through exposure. The private rules of our house had stepped into public consequence. At the hospital, the injuries were minor, bruises, shock, the baby's heartbeat steady and stubborn on the monitor. An official report was filed. The lawyer withdrew representation. The inheritance process froze pending review. My father began calling, first apologetic, then angry, then silent when I didn't respond. My brother never visited. I moved out of my apartment and into a smaller one without telling them the address. I did not pursue charges aggressively. I did not fight for money. I simply stopped participating. For the first time in my life, I did not adjust. When my daughter was born, I held her and felt something clean and uncomplicated. Not victory, not triumph, clarity. The inheritance will still be his. Let it be. What my father never understood is that I was never competing for it. I was fighting for something he never valued, and I kept her.